What do you think this team needs to set up the United States for success?
For myself and the team and the young team and kind of where we're at, I think we need someone that's almost a little bit ruthless, coming in and putting everyone in their place and understanding that, listen, this is what needs to be done and this is the way that we're going to do it. And, there's no really ifs, ands, or buts. It's not really a conversation. It has to be more of a decision that's made, and this is the way we're going to play. So you have to find a manager that obviously suits the playing style that a lot of the players play and how we are and the attributes that we have. But there's managers out there, I'm sure.
This summer's Copa America's come and gone. The trophy long since boarded a flight to Buenos Aires with the Argentina national team. And now we can officially start the countdown to World Cup 2026, which arrives on our shores in just 674 short days. Who's counting? Hitting us about the same time, roughly as season 3 of House of the Dragon. Winter, it's always coming. But today, we're here with the 3rd episode of our series, The Captain, presented by our friends at Allstate, who've done so much to grow this game across the United States of America. And we'll be looking back at the Copa, at the lessons learnt, and about all there is to come for this US men's team in this time of challenge and opportunity. And with the only American-born member of Bournemouth, Las Vegas Golden War Cherries, it's incredible to talk on season's eve, live from Dorset. It's my friend. It's the magical Tyler Adams.
Thanks for having me back, Raj.
Tyler, it is a joy to see you. We are days away from the start of the Premier League, as we will discuss. But where are we finding you? I think we're 10 days away from the first Premier League weekend. I know you're in recovery from back surgery. Locators, tell us where you are, how you're doing, your mindset right now.
Yep, back in Bournemouth. We had a nice preseason 2 weeks in LA. I headed to LA right after our last Copa América game against Uruguay. I have had a lingering back issue for a long time now. So I got that resolved very fortunately with one of the best surgeons in the world in his field. So I'm in a good position now. I'm feeling good. Already 5 weeks post-op, so I'm able to start moving again and get going. So it won't be too long. So I'm very fortunate.
We will talk more about that and all there is to come. But we last spoke before the start of the Copa América, late June, full of promise. Our nation, tournament hosts. And I know from our conversations, there was a real sense of expectation within the team. Let's just say it didn't end how we wanted it to. We're in a moment of transition, of challenge. And for all of us who love football in the United States, it is a moment of pause. But one of the things I've admired about you from the very first time I met you when you came into our studio as a 17-year-old, you're a gent who never shies away from hard conversations. What is it about your makeup, about your approach to football and life, really, that empowers you to accept that responsibility when most normal human beings like me would just hide from the storm until it blows over?
Yeah, no, I grew up in a household where honest assessment and responsibility was an important thing. If I played in a game, for instance, and thought that I played well, my dad or mom would be brutally honest and said, no, you didn't. If I played bad, they would say, there's a few positives that you can take away, but yeah, you were bad. So there was a lot of reassurance at times when I needed it, but at the same time, they weren't there to always just give me a pat on the back and confidence. So I had to build that up in myself. They supported me through everything, but yeah, to give a black and white honest assessment of where we are right now with U.S. soccer is it just needs to be better. It's obviously a simple thing to say. There's a lot of tweaks that need to be made, but the performances individually and collectively in Copa weren't good enough. I think the build up to Copa obviously let us down a lot. Obviously, it was unfortunate that I couldn't be a part of that because I felt I would have been able to have a big influence in just kind of helping the team kind of just come together. We have a week holiday in between. Everyone kind of comes in a little bit relaxed, maybe more than normal, just finding our feet and making sure we hit the ground running. But yeah, I'm not one to point the finger. I think everyone can, take the burden in some way.
I want to go back to the end of June and actually start with a warm memory to that first group stage game for the US against Bolivia. I will tell you, Tyler, when I saw your name in the starting 11, I was about as excited, I think, as Simone Biles learning that Michaela Skinner had blocked her on Instagram. It was your first start for the United States in 3 long months since that Nations League final against Mexico, March 24th. When did you learn you were going to start the game? And how did you feel in those moments before kickoff?
Yeah, no, I felt really, really good. I'm always proud to be able to represent our country. I take a lot of pride in being able to do that. I knew that playing in those games, whether I was 100% or not, I was going to be able to have an influence. I felt good enough to play. Felt good enough to play a lot more, to be honest with you. And it still hurts me that I was taken out in those games. Bolivia, understandably so, but in the second game, I was ready to play 90, 90, 90 for as long as I needed to. So it's tough. When I look at the Bolivia game, it was a game that I knew we needed to start well. It was important for the team to obviously build that confidence, and we did exactly that, got the job done. And then in the next game, I was hoping to play more. I'll just say that.
Second game, you face Panama, familiar CONCACAF antagonist. New manager, though, Thomas Christensen. He said that the team's goal was to dominate and control, take the game where we want it. Which, when I heard that, I did think, wow, that means the game is going to go very CONCACAF-y, where housing is almost every team's love language. And that started 11 minutes in. Panama midfielder Cesar Blackman took out US goalkeeper Matt Turner. And Tyler, the hit was very, very dark arts. But you guys, at this point, are so wise to the ways of CONCACAF, where housery is life. Yep, there seemed almost to be surprise in Panama's kind of smash and grab game plan. It did seem to throw the team just for a moment.
Yeah, a little bit. Going into that tournament, I knew from the moment the groups were announced that Panama was going to be the hardest game. You just know that in a world competition, playing against a CONCACAF team that you compete with, almost every single tournament that you play in, that there's just going to be more on the line and more to it. And I would probably tend to say that I was probably correct in that way. I think that everyone could agree now that Panama was the hardest game, because it's not football at the end of the day. It's never going to be a football match. When you play a team like Uruguay, how much quality they have. They're scrappy still, but they still want to have good, high quality moments in those games where, as Panama, although they've come a long way and developed a lot, it's not the same type of football match. And we knew that from playing against them consistently in CONCACAF. And yeah, I think sometimes when you put yourself in a situation to be vulnerable, it becomes difficult. Obviously, playing 70 minutes of a match with a man down, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. It could be anybody. When you have a man up on the field, it becomes very difficult.
What does that feel like? It is a tough question to ask you, but it was 18 minutes in. Tim Weah sent off that VAR review, giving him a straight red after he lashed out frustration, anger, whatever, against a Panama defender. How does it feel when a teammate does something in that moment that is irrational? How do you experience that as a player on the pitch, knowing that you have that 70 minutes to come, the challenges to come down a man?
From a personal perspective, you don't have time to dwell on that moment, because you need all your energy that you possibly have to be able to run, to be able to compete, because the amount of spaces that open up when you're playing down a man are a lot. So it becomes really difficult. And I think that, with Tim getting the red card, I'm a firm believer in everyone making mistakes. I think everyone has their moments on the field. I think the conversations that we had, as a team and with him are meant to be internal. But yeah, I didn't expect that from him. But again, everyone has those moments. So you have to find ways to dig deep and stick together. And for a majority of that game, I would say that we did a really good job in sticking together, because I think you take a point out of that game, then that goes a really long way, obviously.
A very different summer, possibly. A very different future, possibly. I mean, you fought through that second half exhaustion, the heat, the heavy legs, but lost 2-1. Was there talk of regrouping, of trying to keep the heads up? Or sometimes is it just shock of just having to sit there with the disappointment and frustration and just let it well up?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's shock. I think football is the only sport where when you lose a game, it's not really shock. Football can go any way, any given day. And I think that's why so many people love the beautiful game. I think for me, after games like that, I don't do too much talking. I just kind of try to digest my emotions and control my emotions in those situations. My dad always told me that at a very young age, the way that you're feeling immediately after something isn't always the way that you actually feel. And, in that situation for me, I was obviously very angry. One, that I got taken out of the game because I needed to be on the field for that second 45 minutes. And then I think, not being able to control the situation for myself because I'm not on the field, and just trying to have an influence and be the best version of myself for the rest of the guys, make sure that I was being positive, make sure that I was just having their backs, making sure that we were doing everything we could to win the game. And then, after the game, it's just trying to figure out a solution of, what do we need to do to win against Uruguay? So I think you just have to flip the page really quickly. And that was kind of the message that was sent through the team. I think the following day when we had a recovery session, guys weren't in amazing spirits, but we were in spirits that showed signs that, we're moving in the right direction of recovering from that game and then having to focus on the next one.
And post Uruguay, what did it feel like? Christian Pulisic said you need to, quote, play the game of your lives against Uruguay to progress, and it was not to be. The US were out. Can you take us into that locker room at full time? Is it like, we'll learn from this? Or sometimes you just sit there and be like, you know what, we just got to sit with this frustration.
Yeah, I mean, I think in those situations, again, from a personal perspective, you have to deal with the outcome. The sooner you can deal with the outcome, the quicker you can recover and focus on the next thing. And just talking with the rest of the team, it wasn't meant to be, I think, after the Panama game. It become really, really difficult for ourselves. And we put ourselves in that situation, and it was a tough hole to dig ourselves out of.
One of the storylines, I want to follow the US storyline through, but there was one other Copa storyline I did want to get your read on, which was the success of Jesse Marsch's Canada. Jesse, just been with the team for a little over a month. He had Jacob Schaffelberg playing like Messi with a mullet, finished second in their group, went on that surprising run to the semi-finals, ultimately clipped 2-0 by eventual champions Argentina. You know Jesse so well from the Red Bulls and from Leeds United. What was it like for you to see him surge with the North Americans across the border?
Yeah, no, I think it's obviously as a competitor, it's difficult to see sometimes, but I think for him, I think that he did an amazing job with that team. They're a team that has developed a lot over the past years as well with us. They've always been a rival that's been brewing in CONCACAF for us. And, to see them have success, I think is really good. A lot of young players, growing and developing on a big stage. And I think a cool thing about that team as well is they have a lot of young MLS players that are doing well as well. So for a lot of Americans, it gives faith to them as well that it doesn't matter if you're playing in MLS, it doesn't matter if you're playing in Europe. If you're playing well, you have an opportunity to play with your national team. And I think that's important.
I honestly think it's the best thing that can happen to CONCACAF, just sharpen teams all over the place. Please, yep. God. Now, Steve McLaren rides with Jamaica. They will rise and be a force, and we will all benefit from steel sharpening steel. But big picture, can we talk about the Copa as a whole for a second? The United States, the host nation, under CONMEBOL, the South American Federation, CONCACAF playing a role too. This was overall a chaos tournament. So many complaints about playing surfaces. Argentina goalkeeper Emi Martinez called Atlanta's field, quote, a disaster. A lot of narrow fields. There were some frankly shocking scenes. Uruguay players climbing into the stands, battling Colombian fans at the end of their semi-final. And that final, the indelible scene, Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. Kickoff had to be repeatedly delayed as crowds entered the stadium en masse. Some fans climbed in through the air ducts. As an American, what was it like to watch this tournament of chaos often play out where the world doesn't think that this is different to the World Cup, different organizer. They just look at this saying football in America, World Cup 2026, 674 days time. And they think, wow, panic.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that the organization, obviously, of the tournament wasn't brilliant. It was no World Cup by any means. But I think it comes down to, each federation and each organization running things differently. From a fields perspective, I think it was always going to be difficult to have good fields playing in football stadiums, especially when they've only been laid a couple weeks before the tournament. So I know that for the World Cup, they have to be laid. I forget the certain amount of days, but like 90 days minimum before the first game, which is a lot more time. So hopefully they're better. But, when I look at, competition like that, I think it's a perfect opportunity in Copa América to have, these games be played in soccer specific stadiums and kind of showcase what MLS has grown and how it's grown as a league. There's so many amazing stadiums now that we're able to play in. And I get the stadiums are 25, 30,000. So you're not selling as many tickets, but from an overall footballing experience, I think every team would love to play in MLS stadiums and have the quality of the fields and have, the closer fans and just kind of that passion. So yeah, it's different, playing in football stadiums and playing on those pitches, having those problems. But again, that's what we've come to know a little bit in CONCACAF, and I don't think CONMEBOL is much different.
Welcome to CONCACAF will be the motto for the World Cup. But we've got to get to it. 9 days after the US were eliminated from Copa, US Soccer released a statement announcing that Gregg Berhalter was being, quote, relieved of his duties, been in charge since 2018, bar that interlude post-2022. And I know this is hard for you to talk about. We fans have many different perspectives on the past 5 years of highs and lows under Gregg Berhalter. But from the inside of that locker room, the heart, the squad, how would you articulate how this time should be remembered?
In a period of chaos, after we didn't qualify for the World Cup and we didn't know what was going to happen or where U.S. soccer was going, Gregg did an amazing job in helping navigate and develop young players. I was 19 or 20 when he came in, had no real experience yet with the national team. I now have, almost 50 caps, under him, really started to develop my game under him, learned a lot of things about the game. But on an international perspective, I don't think I would have gained that experience quite as quickly under someone else. I'm not sure, obviously, because we didn't experience that. But how he brought our group together and how close we all became during that period. We're obviously no longer 20 and some of us are 25, 26 years old now. But the experiences that we've gained throughout that period and the way we've navigated World Cups and, World Cup qualifying for the first time, everything was a first for every single person except Christian. So to get a group that, has never experienced any of this and bring them together and, want to compete for one another and want to play for one another and want to represent our country in the right way and always give our best. He did an amazing job. So, I think everyone can be thankful to him. I know a lot of guys got their first caps under him. So you're always going to be thankful to that person, no matter how it goes. And yeah, it's obviously sad to see him go, but, I wish him the best in the future.
What happens now, Tyler? What do you think this team needs to set up the United States for success in this 2026 World Cup that's looming fast coming towards us?
Yeah, it's coming really, really fast. I think that, people don't realize we don't have many big games before, 2026, although it still seems quite far away. We're not going to have the opportunity to play a lot of games because so many teams are going through qualifying processes. So for myself and the team and the young team and kind of where we're at, I think we need someone that's almost a little bit ruthless, coming in and putting everyone in their place and understanding that, listen, this is what needs to be done and this is the way that we're going to do it. And, there's no really ifs, ands, or buts. It's not really a conversation. It has to be more of a decision that's made and this is the way we're going to play. So you have to find a manager that obviously suits the playing style that a lot of the players play and how we are and the attributes that we have. But there's managers out there, I'm sure.
So someone that's been there before that you guys look at and say, this gentleman has navigated this ocean before. We're going to listen to him when he comes in, says, okay, this is how it's going to be. You guys aren't questioning it. You're just like, okay, we know.
I think so. I think that's always the best way when you have a short period of time, right? Is, you see it in the Premier League all the time when managers get sacked after 3 games, 4 games. The best way to get results is bringing someone in and having someone that what they're going to do before they even come in. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think we have like a huge amount of time. If everyone wants to focus on the goal is 2026 World Cup and we want the best result possible, then you have to get someone that's gotten results. How else do you guarantee?
Do the players get asked for their thoughts and their input, or do you wait and just read the newspapers like we all do?
I mean, I try not to get too much into it. It's not really my job to pick a manager. If they want my input, I'll be give an honest assessment as I always do. I don't hold anything back. So if I get asked a question, I'll tell them what I feel. But yeah, again, I don't get paid to hire managers. So
Weston McKennie player manager.
I would take that. I don't know his tactical knowledge of the game, but I'll let him have a go.
Just vibes, tactics, just vibes. Can I ask you, in this moment of transition, speak less to me, but more to the American fan base, World Cup 2026, honestly, has the promise, and I believe this deeply, of being so profoundly transformative for the sport we love on the men's side. What's the thing when you look into your heart, and I know that you are a confident, optimistic gem, what's the thing that gives you most hope right now?
Oh, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things that give me hope for 2026. Not having success in Copa América doesn't not give me hope for 2026. I think that says the most about our team and kind of where we're going. I think it's really important that we have a team that's playing consistently. I don't think it matters where you're playing either. I think that we have a lot of good young players in MLS. We have a lot of good young players abroad. The competition in our team is good, but we still need to progress. So I think that, kind of building off of what we did in 2022 as a benchmark, because 2022 was good performances. Everyone was confident. Everyone was playing well. We had a great squad, a great culture. But the culture of our team is what is going to drive us forward. The fan base has grown, exponentially over the past 3-4 years since I've been a part of this group. So, we rely a lot on the fans, and, people talk about how soccer is not growing as fast as it would like in the US, but the fans continue to support US soccer. And, going home stateside and having a preseason tour in the US with Bournemouth, I started to realize like, wow, like, people wearing my jerseys in LA, like that's something I would have never imagined. So yeah, the support of the fans goes a long way. That's what gives me hope.
Yeah, let's talk about Bournemouth and about you as an individual first, because the last year plus has been filled with challenges physically. A new season is about to start. You are 5 weeks out from having surgery on the back. We talked about it at the top. So tell us, really, first of all, how are you? How are you physically and mentally? What's the timing and the pathway to return?
Yeah, so hopefully I'll return to play middle to end of September. I'm not exactly sure yet. It will vary depending on how quickly I progress, but I think this time around I'm going to be a little bit more patient, just get a feel for my body. I think it was just one too many times of a big event coming up and wanting to push myself and play in it, which is great that I played in some of these big events and was able to play in big games, but if the repercussion is me missing more games, I don't think it's a valuable take. So, for me, I'm just taking it slow right now, day by day. The support of my family has always gotten me through all these tough moments the past year and a half, as they always have. I'm very blessed to have them. But yeah, I'm thankful for Bournemouth because they've come up with a lot of solutions. US Soccer has helped me through a lot of things as well. And I'm in a good position right now. Physically, I feel better than I have in a lot of moments, which I'm thankful for, but I need to keep it that way. So yeah, the past year and a half has been tough, but again, you got to grow through, what you go through. So I'm just growing.
You talk about being more patient, and what I know of you, Tyler, that's like me saying I'm going to grow my hair out a little bit. It's like it's just not in your approach to life.
No, that's funny. That's funny.
It's true, though. It's true. When we last spoke, you talked about the Copa, and I was like, "You're going to take it easy," and you're like 90, 90, 90, and actually you said 90s all the way to the final, and it wasn't jokes. It was like focused. You were like there.
Yeah.
And by the way, you did against Bolivia. I think you played the first half against Bolivia in Panama, the full 90 against Uruguay. Bolivia game, through that first half, you cover more ground with the ball than any of your teammates. And I know it's not in your nature to hold anything back. It's something I actually admire about you. You kind of got your way of the warrior code. Is it possible for you to take your foot off the gas? Does part of you wish you had taken it a bit easier this summer?
Not really. I don't really mind. Your career is not forever. So I'm going to try and play as much as I can. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important that I think you come across a lot of people in your career, that don't want to play every single game. And it's so, it kind of mind boggles me a little bit when you look at someone and you're like, wow, you want to sit out a game? Like, why would you want to sit out a game? Like, ever since I was young, I was dreaming of moments like this where I was just able to play week in, week out in the Premier League. And it's been a little bit since I've been able to play week in, week out. And I think the most important thing for me is just enjoying my football. In that competitive environment is where I thrive constantly. So that's where I want to be. I don't want to be doing individual trainings. I don't want to be doing rehab. Like, as soon as I can train with the team, let me go train with the team, and I'm going 100%. And yeah, there's part of me that thinks, longevity wise, it makes sense, to take your foot off the gas a little bit. But I think I just need to learn the right moments to do that and pick and choose the right areas to do that. But when it comes to games, I'm never taking my foot off the gas.
So in these times of challenge, when you're off the field and during the singular isolation of physical rehab, away from your teammates, which is where you want to be, who do you speak to? Who do you turn to? What do you turn to for comfort?
Oh, I'm very thankful. Again, having Sarah, my fiance, she does wonders for me. We don't have to talk about anything but football. She'll check in on how I'm doing every now and then. My son, I'm very thankful for. But again, the people at the club here have been amazing, because you have to put into perspective a little bit, being in the club's position, and, they sign a player who, I've obviously had a good season in Leeds, and, they sign a player for 25, 30 million, and he's only played, 6 games so far, over the past year for them. And, when I put myself in their shoes, I'm like, I just want to pay them back for taking that, leap of faith on me. But every single time I talk to them, they just go, take your time. We know how valuable of a player you're going to be. And, each time you come back, it's like a new signing. So we don't have to sign anyone. And having that reassurance from a club perspective and, being able to speak one-on-one with an owner who's American as well and understands.
Bill Foley.
He's just like, take your time. There's no rush. We know the impact you're going to have. We know how good you are. Like, all these things. it's reassuring because although I come back quickly and I want to do things and I want to play as quickly as possible, I know behind me, I have a support from a sporting director, a manager, an owner, which at other clubs, maybe you don't have that. So I'm very thankful for everyone in the club for supporting me through these times. And, again, I know with time I'll get over them. It's just a matter of time, but we're getting there.
You were just in the United States, as you said, with Bournemouth, played pre-season friendlies in California, played against the mighty Wrexham and also Arsenal Football Club. You are the only American-born player on the squad. You hung out with Michael B. Jordan. What did you want your teammates to know and to experience during their time in the United States?
I wanted them to learn that I'm not from LA because everyone's always asking me what to do in LA. I'm like, I'm 6 hours from here.
Why doesn't Bournemouth just play in Wappingers Falls already?
That's what I'm saying. We would have had sellout crowds everywhere. But yeah, no. I think it's cool for everyone to go over to the US and be able to see how much the sport has grown. Obviously have a lot of good preseason friendlies as well. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, having an owner that's American now and being able to connect in different ways with Americans more often while playing in Europe is a pretty cool spectacle. So yeah, I'm happy to have had that experience. Obviously, I would have liked to be playing in those games and kind of representing stateside, playing for Bournemouth. But yeah, that time will come.
Next season, Bournemouth against the Hudson Valley Hammers.
I hope so.
Make it happen, Bill Foley. What was it like with Michael B. Jordan? Is he tactical suggestions?
No tactical suggestions. He created some cool jerseys though this year, which was cool. So his creative design coming into play a little bit, but he's a great guy to have around. Very genuine person, and he's from tri-state area as well, so we can relate on a few things.
God bless. You signed with Bournemouth, as you said, last August. You played under first-year manager Adoni Iraola, who's quite a fascinating human being. Joined the club a couple of months ahead of you. Really sophisticated thinker. Spends his free time cycling on the South Coast. Talks about his love of Murakami novels. I mean, I adore Everton manager Sean Dyche, but I cannot imagine him owning a copy of Kafka on the Shore. Can you describe Iraola, your first impressions of him? Give us a sense of this quite remarkable Spanish football mind.
Yeah, he's a very down-to-earth manager. And, I had a lot of good conversations with him before coming to Bournemouth, and he's very simplistic in the way he thinks about football, very forward-thinking, and that's something that's entertaining to a lot of fans and also to players. It's very easy to buy into. So, yeah, the first season under him, obviously, I would have wished to play more and been available to him for more games, but the style that he plays suits me to a T. We play a lot of man-to-man all over the field and, a lot of running, so it's something that I like to do. But, yeah, I think the success that we had under him the first season last year is a great building block to build on now for this year. So I think everyone's familiar with the way he wants to play. We're bringing in, a few more players, young players that suit the style that we want. And, yeah, I'm hoping to just be able to build off it with him this year.
Bournemouth racked up 48 points, which I think is a Premier League high for the club. And I know you're going to be out for the first few weeks of the season, but you've been there around the team. The season is within touching distance. What do you expect from your Bournemouth team this campaign? It's second season under Iraola and third straight in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always know how competitive the Premier League season is every single year. And, I think what we want to do now is separate ourselves from, being in the relegation conversation at all within any season. So last year we did a great job, obviously, of early on. We went through a tough stretch, actually, the first 6 or 7 games without a win. And then we went on a big stretch over the next 10 games. So, starting that off from the first kickoff of the season and making sure we don't put ourselves in that position. But, last year when you looked at it, going into the last 3 games of the season, there was a conversation for us to be in, the Conference League picture. So I think for us, it's, how close can we get to that European position and kind of just build ourselves upon that. And, there's a great team down the road in Brighton that has kind of developed that model over the past couple of years and, built something special. And I think it's something similar that we're trying to follow. So we know that with the young players that we have, we're heading in the right direction. But again, we have to be patient as well because we do have a really young team.
I taped a Bournemouth fan podcast yesterday and promised them that if you get to Wembley in a cup, which is their dream for this season, I would come over, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that all of that is made to come true.
It's coming true.
And all Bournemouth fans. What a magnificent tiny club of wonder. And talking about footballing joys, Tyler, we are speaking just a few hours before the United States women faced Germany in the semi-finals of the Olympics, playing Germany for the second time, down them already 4-1 in the group stage. It's been a remarkable journey. Emma Hayes, they have yet to lose under her managership. She's turned them almost immediately into, let's just say, contenders after she joined from Chelsea in early June. So what's it been like seeing how our women are playing joyfully, freely, victoriously again, how they've responded after a leadership change? Does it make you feel optimistic about what could be ahead for the men's side too?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that with the past success that they've had, they have a model of what they want to do, what they want to play, and how they want to win. So I think with that change of a manager, sometimes that can always spark something inside of you, and find ways to dig a little bit deeper. But watching them play, watching the game that they played against Japan, it's so fun to watch them play. They always have the sense that they're going to win the game. We have a lot of young players that are fun to watch, and any team that represents the U.S., I'm just a huge fan of. So, I hope that they win this game in the semifinal and go on to win gold in the final. But yeah, they inspire a ton of people. So I'm very happy to watch them.
Go USA. Last question for you, Tyler. We're going to talk about your son, Jax. I can't believe it. He's almost 7 months old. It feels like it was a second ago you became a dad. What's it been like for you to see him grow, change, almost on a daily basis, almost an hourly basis? Where is he? Has he spoken his first word yet? Has he said CONCACAF to you or whatever?
Not CONCACAF. But watching Jax, kind of evolve and grow over the past couple of months has been incredible. I think for me, going away for Copa América was one of the hardest things that I've had to do, because, just seeing him every 2 weeks or so, or having them come to the games and then leaving the next day was really difficult, because, the next time you see them, they grow and develop and change so much. So, now he's crawling everywhere, standing up on everything, grabbing everything, wanting to eat everything. So yeah, he's growing so fast, but he is an absolute joy to be a dad. So he makes it amazing, and, every single day gets better. So I'm so thankful.
Tyler Adams, to you, your family, to the mighty Jacks, to Bournemouth, to the Bournemouth fan base, and to a brighter, more optimistic American future. It's amazing to talk to you, mate.
You as well. Thanks for having me, Raj.
Courage.